The sun rose over the gleaming spires of New Washington. The year was 2157, and humanity had spread beyond Earth. They had built homes on Mars, research stations on Europa, and mining facilities on Titan. It was a good time to be alive. William Hayes adjusted his formal suit and took a deep breath. As Earth's chief ambassador, he had handled many tough situations, but nothing like this, nothing that would change the course of human history forever. "Ambassador, they're here," said Lisa, his assistant. Her voice trembled slightly. William nodded and walked to the large window. In the sky above, massive ships had appeared. They seemed to stretch for miles, blocking out the sun in some areas. They had arrived 3 days ago, positioning themselves in formation around Earth. No warnings, no messages, just silent, waiting giants in the sky, until this morning when they had finally made contact. "The transport is ready, sir," said Frank, the security chief. "Are you sure you want to go alone?" William turned from the window. Those were their terms. One representative. No weapons. No communications devices. "We don't know what they want," Frank protested. William smiled calmly. "That's exactly why I need to go." The small shuttle lifted off from the United Earth Government headquarters. William sat quietly as it ascended toward the largest alien vessel. From this distance, he could see details of its surface. Strange symbols etched into metal unlike any Earth material, pulsing lights that followed no pattern he could understand. The shuttle docked with a soft thud. The door slid open. "Welcome, human representative," said a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Please proceed." William stepped into a long corridor. The walls glowed with soft blue light. The air felt different, richer somehow, with an almost sweet taste. He walked forward as doors opened automatically before him. Finally, he entered a vast chamber. Around a circular table sat beings of different shapes, sizes, and colors. Some looked almost like humans. Others defied description. Masses of tentacles, crystalline structures, beings of pure energy contained in special suits. Ambassador William Hayes of Earth announced a tall, blue-skinned being with 4 arms. "I am High Counselor Zex Terra. This is the inner circle of the Galactic Council." William bowed slightly. "On behalf of humanity, I thank you for this meeting." "This is not a meeting," said another being, whose body seemed to be made of shifting metal plates. "This is a notification." William kept his expression neutral. "I don't understand." Zex Terra waved a hand, and a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared above the table. A tiny blue dot pulsed at the edge of one spiral arm. "Your solar system," said Zex Terra. "Insignificant, yet now within Council space. We represent 27 advanced species who maintain order in this sector of the galaxy. We were unaware of any territorial claims to our system," William said carefully. A being that looked like a large insect made a clicking sound. "Your awareness is not required for Council law to apply." Zex Terra nodded. "For thousands of cycles, the Council has maintained peace through strength. All species under our protection contribute to the common good." William noticed how several of the Council members exchanged glances. Something felt wrong about this whole situation. "Contribute how?" he asked. "A simple tribute," said Zex Terra. 30% of all resources produced in your system. For 100 Earth years." William kept his face blank, despite his shock. 30% would cripple human expansion and growth. "And if we decline this arrangement?" The chamber grew cold. Several Council members leaned forward. "That would be unfortunate," said Zex Terra. "The last species who decline no longer exists. Their planets were repurposed." William looked at each alien face around the table. Some seemed troubled, others eager. He realized this wasn't a negotiation. It was an ultimatum. "You have 30 Earth days to prepare your first payment," said Zex Terra. "Our ships will remain in orbit to ensure compliance." William stood straight. "I will convey your demands to Earth's leadership." "See that you do," Zextera said. And remember, we are always watching. The journey back to Earth was the longest of William's life. He looked down at the blue planet below, wondering how he would tell humanity that the stars they had reached for now demanded a price they could not afford to pay. The room fell silent as William finished speaking. 20 world leaders sat around the large oak table in the United Earth Government headquarters. Outside, crowds gathered in the streets, their eyes fixed on the massive alien ships that hovered above major cities. President Samantha Powell stood up slowly. Her face was calm, but her hands were clenched tight. 30% of all our resources, she said, for 100 years. Yes, Madam President, William replied. The council made it clear this was not a request. It was a demand. General Alan Martinez slammed his fist on the table. This is robbery. They arrive without warning and expect us to hand over nearly a third of everything we produce. They call it a protection fee, William explained. Every species under their control pays it. Protection from what? Asked Dr. Elizabeth Morgan, the chief scientist. From them. William nodded. That was my impression. The room erupted in angry voices. President Powell raised her hand, and silence fell again. Ambassador Hayes, you spent time with these aliens. What do you think our chances are if we refuse? William took a deep breath. Their ships are unlike anything we've ever seen. Their technology is far beyond ours. But what? Asked General Martinez. Something felt off. The council members weren't united. Some seemed uncomfortable with the demand, and they were very interested in our deep space mining operations. Dr. Morgan leaned forward. Our asteroid belt and Kuiper belt mining. Yes, they mentioned them specifically. President Powell walked to the window. The alien flagship was visible in the distance, a dark shape against the blue sky. We need time, she said. Ambassador Hayes, can you return to their ship? Tell them we need more time to organize our resources. William nodded. I can try. Meanwhile, the president continued, turning to face the room. I want every scrap of information we have on these aliens. Dr. Morgan, analyze any readings we've got from their ships. General Martinez, I want defense options on my desk by morning. As the meeting broke up, William noticed a tall man in a plain black suit standing in the corner. The man nodded slightly toward a side door. William followed him out. Ambassador Hayes, the man said quietly. My name is John Mitchell. I need to show you something. They took a private elevator down, far below the government building. The doors opened to reveal a high-tech facility William had never seen before. What is this place? He asked. Project Aegis, John replied. For the past 10 years, we've been preparing for this day. They walked through a series of security checkpoints to reach a large chamber. In the center stood a strange device, a sphere of swirling energy contained within a metal frame. When we first detected signals from beyond our solar system, John explained, some of us realized we might not be alone, and that not all alien life might be friendly. William stared at the device. What does it do? It's better if I show you, John said. He pressed a button on a nearby console. The wall in front of them became transparent, revealing a test chamber. Inside, a small version of the device activated. Scientists fired weapons at it, lasers, missiles, even what looked like an antimatter charge. The energy sphere absorbed every attack, growing brighter with each hit. We call it the barrier, John said. It doesn't just block attacks. It absorbs their energy and can redirect it. William's mind raced. And you've built a larger version. John smiled. We've built thousands. They're positioned throughout the solar system, waiting to be activated. Does the president know about this? She'll be briefed tonight. We needed to know what we were facing first. William thought about the council's demand, about the threat behind their words. So when I return to their ship, he began. John's expression turned serious. You'll carry our real answer. But first, we need to know more about them. Can you get closer to their inner circle? William nodded. They invited me back to discuss the tribute payment details. Perfect, John said. We'll prepare something special for you to bring them. As they left the facility, William looked up at the sky. The alien ships no longer seemed so frightening. For the first time since they had arrived, he felt a glimmer of hope. William returned to the Council's ship 3 days later. This time, he brought with him a small metal case. Inside was a device that looked like a simple data crystal, but it contained much more. Tiny sensors built by Dr. Morgan would scan the Council chamber and collect valuable information. The same blue-lit corridor led him to the Council chamber. The alien leaders watched him with their strange eyes as he entered. Ambassador Hayes, said High Counselor Zexterra, we expected you to bring the first payment details. William bowed slightly. My leaders need more time to organize our resources. Our mining operations are spread across the solar system. A large creature with tentacles slammed one limb on the table. Delays are unacceptable. Peace, Counselor Vrock, said Zexterra. The humans are primitive. They need time to understand their place. William bit his tongue. He needed to stay calm. We are working as quickly as possible. In the meantime, my leaders wish to offer a small gift as a show of good faith. He placed the case on the table and opened it. Inside was the crystal, glowing softly. This contains information about Earth's history and culture, William explained. Zexterra picked up the crystal. How? Thoughtful. We hope it will help you understand us better, said William. And perhaps you could share some information about the Council. My leaders are curious about the species we'll be working with. Several Council members exchanged glances. William noticed a tension in the room. The Council has existed for 12,000 years, said Zexterra finally. We bring order to chaos, protection to the weak. All species benefit from our guidance. And all species pay tribute, said William. It is the natural order, replied Zexterra. The strong lead. The weak follow. William noticed one Council member, a small gray being with large eyes, looking uncomfortable. And if a species grows strong enough, do they join the Council? The room fell silent. Zexterra's forehands clenched. That question is not relevant to your situation, the High Counselor said coldly. You will never reach that point. I see, said William. And how many species pay tribute to the Council now? 43, replied a crystalline being to Zexterra's right. Including your own. William nodded. And the Council has 27 members. Where do the other 16 come from? More uncomfortable glances. William could sense he had touched a nerve. Enough questions, said Zexterra. You have 1 Earth week to provide the first payment schedule. No more delays. As William left the chamber, he felt a presence behind him. Turning, he saw the small gray being following him. Ambassador, it whispered. Be careful. The tribute is only the beginning. Before William could respond, the being hurried away. Back on Earth, William reported everything to the Emergency Council. The room was packed with world leaders, military commanders, and scientists. Their story doesn't add up, William concluded. The Council claims to protect species, but I saw fear in that chamber, not respect. Dr. Morgan stepped forward. The sensors worked perfectly. We have detailed scans of their biology, technology, and the ship structure. She displayed holographic images of the Council ship's interior. Their technology is advanced, but not as advanced as they want us to believe. Many systems are centuries ahead of ours, but not millennia. What about their weapons? Asked General Martinez. Powerful, but with clear limitations, Dr. Morgan replied. They rely heavily on directed energy weapons, which is exactly what our barrier technology can absorb. President Powell stood. Is Project Aegis ready? John Mitchell stepped forward from the shadows. Yes, Madam President. The system is operational. We can activate it at any time. And the countermeasures? In place, John replied. If the Council attacks, We can not only defend ourselves but strike back." The president looked around the room, meeting each person's eyes. "I never thought we'd face this choice," she said quietly. "But I will not surrender humanity's future to alien bullies." She turned to William. "Ambassador Hayes, prepare to return to the council ship. This time, with our real answer." William nodded. For the first time since the alien ships arrived, he smiled. "With pleasure, Madam President." The Pluto research station looked like a small collection of domes from the outside. Few people knew what really existed beneath the icy surface. William stared through the viewport as their ship approached. "I never knew this place existed," he said to John Mitchell, who sat beside him. "That was the point," John replied. "Only 50 people in the solar system knew about it until last week." Their ship docked at a small airlock. After passing through several security checks, they entered a massive underground complex. Hundreds of scientists and engineers worked at stations. Giant screens displayed data from across the solar system. "Welcome to the heart of Project Aegis," said John. They walked to a central platform where Dr. Morgan was waiting. She looked tired but excited. "Ambassador Hayes, thank you for coming," she said. "What you're about to see is the result of 10 years of work." She activated a large holographic display. It showed the entire solar system, with thousands of small dots blinking across it. "Each dot is a barrier unit," Dr. Morgan explained. "We've placed them on every planet, moon, and major asteroid in the system." "That's incredible," William said. "But how did you keep this secret?" John smiled. "We hid in plain sight. Every space mission for the last decade included barrier units disguised as standard equipment. Every colony ship, every supply run, every mining operation. The Council has no idea what we've built," said Dr. Morgan. "Their scans can't detect the barrier units when they're inactive." William looked at the display. "So what happens when they're activated?" Dr. Morgan touched a control, and the display changed. A web of blue lines connected all the dots, forming a sphere around the entire solar system. "When activated, the units create a unified field," she explained. "A barrier that can absorb and redirect energy across the entire system. We call it the solar shield," added John. "Nothing gets in or out without our permission." William was stunned. "You've built a shield around the entire solar system." "Not just a shield," said Dr. Morgan. "The barrier doesn't just block attacks. It absorbs their energy and can redirect it." She showed a simulation of alien ships firing at Earth. The barrier caught the energy and then sent it back, destroying the attackers with their own weapons. "We've suspected we weren't alone for decades," John said. "When we detected the first alien signals 15 years ago, a group of scientists and military leaders from all nations came together. We knew we needed protection." "Who authorized this?" William asked. "Everyone and no one," John replied. "Every major government contributed resources without knowing the full picture. We created shell companies, secret research grants, hidden budget lines. It was the biggest covered operation in human history." William shook his head in amazement. "And now?" "Now we're ready," said Dr. Morgan. "The sensors you planted on the Council ship gave us the final data we needed. Their weapons are powerful, but the barrier can handle them." An officer approached with a small box. "This is for you to take back," he said to William. William opened it. Inside was a simple data crystal, similar to the one he had brought before, but with a small note attached. "What does it say?" he asked. "It's our answer to the Council," John replied. "One word: no." William closed the box. "They won't accept this." "We don't expect them to," said Dr. Morgan. "In fact, we're counting on it." They walked to a secure room where President Powell was waiting with her top advisors. "Ambassador Hayes," she said, "are you ready for what comes next?" William nodded. "Yes, Madam President. You understand that once you deliver our message, the Council will likely attack." "I do." The President looked at him seriously. "And you're willing to risk your life to deliver it?" William thought about the Council's threats, about the fear he had seen in some of their eyes, about the small gray being who had warned him. "The Council thinks we're weak," he said. "They need to learn that humanity doesn't bow to bullies." "Yes, I'm willing." The President handed him a small device. "This is a remote activator for the barrier. The moment you're safely away from their ship, press it." William took the device. And then, said John with a grim smile, "we show the galaxy what happens when someone threatens Earth." William's shuttle approached the massive Council ship for the third time. His heart beat fast, but his hands were steady. In his pocket was the small box with humanity's answer. Around his wrist was the activator for the barrier system. The Council chamber looked the same as before. The alien leaders sat in their curved seats, watching him with cold eyes. High Counselor Zexterra's 4 arms were folded across his chest. "Ambassador Hayes," said Zexterra, "we expected payment details, not another visit." William stepped forward and placed the small box on the table. "I bring humanity's official response to your demand." The insect-like council member clicked angrily. "There is no response needed except obedience." William stood tall. "My people have asked me to deliver this. I suggest you open it." Zexterra picked up the box carefully, as if it might explode. He opened it and removed the data crystal. Then he saw the note attached to it. "What is this?" he asked. "Read it," William said calmly. Zexterra looked at the single word written on the note. "No." His voice was quiet at first, then rose in anger. "No. This is your response." William nodded. "That is correct. Humanity declined your offer of protection. We decline to pay tribute. We decline to be ruled by the Council." The chamber erupted in shouts and threats. Several council members rose from their seats. Zexterra slammed all 4 hands on the table. "Silence," he shouted. The room quieted. He turned to William, his eyes cold with fury. "You have made a terrible mistake, human. Do you understand what you have done?" "Perfectly," said William. "I have delivered my people's message." "Your people will be destroyed for this," said the crystalline being. "We have erased species for lesser offenses." William looked around the room. Most faces showed anger or shock. But the small gray being he had noticed before was watching with something that looked almost like hope. "Before you make threats," William said, "I suggest you examine the data crystal. It contains information you might find interesting." Zexterra inserted the crystal into a reader. A hologram appeared above the table. It showed images of the barrier technology, of weapons tests, of the network spread throughout the solar system. "What is this?" asked Zexterra. "Insurance," William replied. "For the past 10 years, humanity has been preparing for this day. We hoped first contact would be peaceful, but we prepared in case it wasn't." The metal-plated alien leaned forward. "These are lies. You cannot have this technology." "Test us," William said simply. Zexterra's face darkened. "You will regret this challenge, human. Our ships will turn your Earth to glass." William turned to leave. "I've delivered our message. What happens next is your choice." "Seize him," ordered Zexterra. 2 guards moved toward William. But the small gray being suddenly stood. "No," it said. "The ambassador has diplomatic protection. Let him go." "Counselor Nix," said Zexterra angrily, "you forget your place." "I remember it well," replied Nix. "Better than you remember yours, High Counselor." The room fell silent at this challenge. Zexterra stared at Nix, then waved the guards back. "Let the human go," he said coldly. "Let him return to his doomed world." William nodded to Nix in thanks, then walked from the chamber. As he moved through the corridors to his shuttle, he heard alarms begin to sound throughout the ship. The Council was preparing for attack. His shuttle detached from the Council ship and moved away quickly. When he was a safe distance away, William pressed the activator on his wrist. A small green light blinked on. The barrier was now active. Looking back, He saw Council ships beginning to move into attack formation. Massive weapons ports opened on their hulls. Energy readings spiked as they prepared to fire. William sent a message to Earth. Message delivered. Shield activated. They're coming. The reply was brief. Return home, Ambassador. We're ready. As his shuttle sped toward Earth, William watched the Council fleet grow smaller behind him. The real test was about to begin. People around the world watched the skies. The Council ships had changed position, forming a ring around Earth. Their weapons glowed with building energy. In every major city, crowds gathered in streets and parks, eyes turned upward. At United Earth Government headquarters, President Powell stood with her team in the command center. Giant screens showed the alien ships. Smaller displays showed the status of the barrier system. William's shuttle is approaching Earth orbit, reported General Martinez. Council ships are powering up weapons. Dr. Morgan studied her readings. The barrier is fully operational. All units report green status. President Powell nodded. Open a channel to all Earth settlements and colonies. A communications officer pressed buttons. Channel open, Madam President. She took a deep breath. Citizens of Earth and human colonies. The alien force known as the Galactic Council has demanded we pay them tribute. They have threatened our world with destruction if we refuse. We have refused. Screens around the room showed people watching her broadcast, faces tense with fear, but also pride. For 10 years, we have prepared for this day, the President continued. We are not defenseless. We are not alone. Every human settlement, from Mars to Titan, stands together. Whatever happens in the next few hours, know this: humanity will not bow to threats. We will not surrender our future. Stand firm. As she finished speaking, alarms rang through the command center. They're firing, shouted General Martinez. On the screens, massive beams of energy shot from the Council ships. They struck Earth's atmosphere from all directions. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then a blue glow spread across the sky, forming a dome over the planet. Barrier is holding, reported Dr. Morgan. Energy absorption at 30% capacity and rising. In cities around the world, people watched in amazement as the attacks hit the blue shield and seemed to vanish. The Council ships fired again and again. Each time, the blue glow grew brighter. In the command center, John Mitchell watched the energy readings climb. The barrier is working exactly as designed. It's absorbing everything they throw at us. What about our colonies? Asked the President. Same reports from Mars and Titan, said General Martinez. Their local barriers are holding. William arrived at the command center, out of breath. I came as fast as I could. Welcome back, Ambassador, said President Powell. Your timing is perfect. They watched as the Council ships increased their attack. The blue glow of the barrier grew even brighter, but did not break. Energy absorption at 70%, reported Dr. Morgan. We're approaching redirection capacity. What does that mean? Asked William. John smiled. It means we can start fighting back. He moved to a control panel and entered a code. Initiating Phase 2. On the screens, they could see the blue barrier beginning to pulse. Energy collected at various points around the globe, forming into focused beams. Target their main weapons first, ordered General Martinez. The collected energy shot out from Earth in dozens of bright blue beams. They struck the Council ships precisely at their weapon ports. Several smaller ships spun out of control as their systems overloaded. My God, whispered William. We're using their own energy against them. Poetic justice, said John. They tried to bully the wrong species. The Council ships scattered, trying to avoid the return fire, but the barrier tracked them, continuing to absorb and redirect their attacks. They're breaking formation, reported General Martinez. Several ships appear to be retreating. President Powell turned to William. Do you think they'll continue the attack? Before he could answer, a communication officer called out, Incoming transmission from the Council flagship. Put it through, said the president. The main screen flickered. High Counselor Zex Terra appeared, his blue face now pale with shock. What have you done? He demanded. This technology should not exist. President Powell stepped forward. This technology exists because you and others like you exist, High Counselor. Did you really think we would be defenseless? Zex Terra's four hands moved nervously. This changes nothing. We will regroup and return with more ships. You're welcome to try, said the president. But I suggest you consult with your full council first, especially those members who seemed uncomfortable with your tribute demands. Zex Terra's eyes widened slightly. Then the transmission cut off. They're retreating, said General Martinez. All ships are pulling back. A cheer went up in the command center, but William didn't join in. He knew this wasn't over. It was only beginning. 3 days passed since the council ships retreated. Earth celebrated, but the military remained on high alert. In orbit, human defense ships patrolled, their sensors scanning for any sign of the alien fleet's return. At the Pluto research station, William stood with Dr. Morgan as she studied debris from a damaged council ship. What have you found? He asked. She held up a small device. Their power systems are fascinating. They use a form of energy we've never seen before. But there's something else. She pointed to her screen, where strange symbols scrolled. Their ships contain technology from many different species. Stolen technology? William asked. That's my guess, she replied. The council doesn't seem to invent much. They take from the species they conquer. John Mitchell entered the lab. We've decoded more of their communications. You need to see this. They followed him to the command center. On a large screen, they saw images of other alien worlds. Council ships hovered above them, just as they had over Earth. But these planets had no defense. The images showed destruction, cities in ruins. These are recordings from the council ship's database, John explained. They've done this to dozens of worlds. They demand tribute, and those who refuse are attacked. Those who can't defend themselves are destroyed or enslaved. William felt sick. How many species have they wiped out? At least 7 that we can confirm, said John. But there's more. Look at this. He showed another set of images. Council ships fighting among themselves. Internal battle. The council isn't united, John said. There are factions. Some approve of their tactics. Others don't. Like Counselor Nix, William said, remembering the small gray being who had helped him. Exactly, said John. And we've managed to make contact with this faction. William looked surprised. How? They reached out to us, Dr. Morgan explained. After the battle, a small ship approached the barrier. It transmitted a coded message. They want to talk. General Martinez entered the room. We've got movement. The council fleet is returning, but something's different. On the main viewer, they saw the council ships reappearing at the edge of the solar system. But they weren't in attack formation. And there were new ships with them. Different designs, different markings. We're receiving a transmission, reported a communications officer. The screen changed to show Counselor Nix. Behind him stood several other alien beings, all from different council races. Ambassador Hayes, said Nix, we request permission to approach Earth for peaceful talks. William looked to John and General Martinez, who nodded. Permission granted, Counselor, but be aware our defenses remain active. Understood, said Nix. And expected. We come not as the Council, but as the Alliance. The Alliance? Asked William. Those of us who oppose the Council's tribute system, explained Nix. For too long, the Council has used fear to control the galaxy. What you did, standing up to them, defeating their attack, it has inspired others. The screen split to show more images. Planets where people were rising up against Council ships, species reclaiming their independence. Your barrier technology, continued Nix, it could free dozens of worlds from Council control. Why should we trust you? Asked General Martinez. You shouldn't, replied Nix honestly. Not completely. But know this, I represent species who have paid tribute for centuries. We are tired of living in fear. President Powell joined the conversation. What happened to High Counselor Zex Terra and his supporters? They have retreated to core council space, said Nix. They are preparing a larger fleet, but they are also facing rebellion from within. Half the council has joined our alliance. William thought carefully. What are you proposing? A true alliance, said Nix. Share your barrier technology with us, and we will share our knowledge with you. Together, we can end the council's reign of terror. President Powell looked to her advisors. What do you think? It's risky, said General Martinez. But if the council is coming back with a bigger fleet, we could use allies. Dr. Morgan nodded. Their technology could help us improve the barrier, make it stronger. William remembered the fear he had seen in some council members' eyes. Not fear of humans, but fear of their own leaders. I think we should hear them out, he said, but carefully. President Powell nodded. Very well. Councilor Nix, we invite a small delegation to Earth for talks. Choose your representatives wisely. Nix bowed slightly. Thank you, President Powell. This day will be remembered throughout the galaxy. As the transmission ended, William looked at the images of planets in rebellion. We didn't just say no to tribute, he said quietly. We started a revolution. 6 months later, William stood in the grand hall of what was once the council headquarters. The massive space station orbited a neutral star at the center of the galaxy. Once, it had been the seat of power for those who demanded tribute. Now, it served a different purpose. Representatives from over 50 species filled the chamber. Some were former council members like Nix. Others were from worlds that had paid tribute for generations. And there, among them all, stood humanity's delegation. President Powell addressed the gathered species. 1 year ago, we didn't know alien life existed. Then the council arrived and demanded we give up our resources, our independence, our future. We said one word in response. No. A murmur of approval ran through the crowd. That single word has echoed across the galaxy, the president continued. Not because humanity is special, but because every species deserves freedom. Today, we formalize what began with that simple refusal. She stepped back, and William moved forward. As Earth's ambassador, he had worked tirelessly to build trust among former enemies and new allies. The Galactic Federation Charter is ready for signing, he announced. Unlike the Council, this federation will be based on mutual respect and cooperation. No tributes, no masters, no slaves. Counselor Nix joined him. The small gray alien looked different now, prouder, standing taller. For 12,000 years, the Council ruled through fear. They took technology from developing worlds, claimed it as their own, and used it to demand more tribute. He gestured to the human delegation. Humanity showed us another way. When threatened with destruction, they didn't surrender. They innovated. They planned. They stood firm. Dr. Morgan stepped forward with John Mitchell. Between them, they carried a case containing data crystals. As promised, we share our barrier technology with all Federation members, said Dr. Morgan. No world should live in fear of orbital bombardment again. Representatives from various species came forward to receive the crystals. In exchange, they offered their own technological gifts, faster than light drives, advanced medicine, energy systems beyond human understanding. William watched with satisfaction. In 6 short months, humanity had advanced centuries in technological development. But more importantly, they had gained friends across the stars. A commotion at the entrance drew everyone's attention. High Counselor Zex Terra entered, flanked by guards, not his own, but Federation security. I come under the flag of truce, he said, his once proud voice now subdued. The remaining council worlds wished to discuss terms. William exchanged glances with President Powell, who nodded. We will hear your proposal, William said, but understand this. There will be no more tributes, no more threats. Zexterra's four hands moved nervously. Our economy depended on those tributes. Without them, my people face hardship. Then perhaps it's time your people learn to build rather than take, said William. The Federation welcomes all species willing to contribute, not just consume. Zexterra looked around the chamber, seeing former council allies now standing with their former victims. How quickly the mighty fall, he muttered. Not fall, corrected William. Change. You can join us as equals, or continue alone. The choice is yours. Later, as the signing ceremony concluded, William stood by a viewport, looking out at the stars. President Powell joined him. Quite a view, she said. William nodded. I keep thinking about that first meeting with the council. How scared I was. How hopeless it seemed. And now look at us, she said, leading a Galactic Federation. Not leading, William corrected. Participating. That's the difference between us and the old council. President Powell smiled. So what's next for our esteemed ambassador? You've earned a rest. William shook his head. There are still worlds under threat. Species who don't know they have allies now. He turned from the viewport. Our work is just beginning. As if to emphasize his point, a group of alien delegates approached, eager to speak with the human who had helped change the galaxy. Ambassador Hayes, called a tall, plant-like being. We have news from the outer systems. More worlds wish to join the Federation. William smiled. The Council had expected humanity to bow down and pay tribute. Instead, their demand had sparked a revolution that transformed the galaxy. A simple human word, no, had become a rallying cry for freedom across the stars. And this was only the beginning.